welcome back to my channel, Jamie Friend Colors. If you're new here, my name is Jamie, and today we're going to do like a little review on gouache. It's something that I've never really used before, and so I thought I would try it out. And yeah, so we're going to do that today. So I went ahead and purchased these Arteza. I purchased them. These Arteza gouache, and this is 60 colors, which is a lot. It's a little overwhelming, but I did swatches of all the colors here. You can see they're beautiful colors. We'll talk about them, and we'll talk about this. But first of all, I wanted to answer the question, what is gouache? Because really, what is this stuff? Like, is it watercolor? Is it acrylic? Is it oil? Like, what is gouache? So here's what I have found out. Gouache is some call it an opaque watercolor. So it's a water media, so it is water soluble. It will reactivate with water. You can spread it with water, so it's a water soluble paint. Consisting of natural pigment, water, a binding agent, and sometimes additional inert material. Okay, gouache is designed to be used with an opaque methods of painting, kind of like how we paint with acrylics, because acrylics are an opaque paint, whereas gouache is watercolors is transparent. So gouache has a considerable history, which I had no idea, going back over 600 years. It is used most consistently by commercial artists for posters, illustrations, comics, and other design work. Okay, so gouache is similar to watercolor, that it can be re-wetted, so it can be reactivated. It dries to a matte finish, which is really nice because most like artist quality acrylic paints, they dry to almost a gloss finish, which makes it difficult to draw on top of it, or yeah, mostly to draw on top of it. So if I'm doing backgrounds in a coloring book, I use craft paint instead of artist quality paint, because the craft paint dries matte, whereas the artist quality dries gloss, and then I can't put any colored pencils or anything over the top of it. So this gouache dries matte, which I like quite a bit. Let's see, and the paint can become infused with its paper support, so it, like, the water or the paper can kind of suck it in and hold it. It is similar to acrylic or oil paints in that it is normally used in an opaque painting style, and it can form a superficial layer, so you can color on top of it. Many manufacturers of watercolor paints also produce gouache because it's easy to do both because they're so similar. But gouache paint, so it is similar to watercolor as well. So gouache paint is similar to watercolor, however modified to make it opaque. So watercolor is transparent, and then what they've done is they take that watercolor paint and they make it opaque by, what I'm reading here is by adding so let's see, I thought I read that they like add a white, like a Chinese white or something to it. Yeah. So let's see, gouache differs from watercolor in that the particles are typically larger, the ratio of pigment to binder is much higher, and additional white filler such as chalk, a body, may be part of the paint. This makes gouache heavier and more opaque with greater reflective qualities. So I think that's really cool. Gouache generally dries to a different value than it appears when wet. Lighter tones generally dry darker, and darker tones tend to dry lighter. So I didn't really, I guess I did notice that a little bit. Which makes it difficult to match colors over multiple painting sessions. Its quick coverage and total hiding power means that gouache lends itself to more direct painting techniques than watercolor. So yeah, I think that's really cool. What else? Anything else I wanted to say? Oh, so gouache is not restricted to the basic opaque painting techniques using a paintbrush and watercolor paper. It is often applied with an airbrush. As with all types of paint, gouache has been used on unusual surfaces, from braille paper to cardboard. A variation of traditional application is the method used in gouaches, découpes, it says cut collages, created by Henri Matisse. His Blue Nude series is a good example of this technique. A new variation in the formula of the paint is acrylic gouache. So then there's such things as acrylic gouache, and I'm not really sure what the difference between traditional gouache and acrylic gouache is. I kind of read through it and I still didn't really understand. Oh, so I guess, okay, so here it is. But it takes the difference is that it's mixed with acrylic based binders instead of the gum arabic that watercolor it's binded with. So it's just a different binder. Then there's some history here. I know this is probably just like really boring, but I kind of find it interesting. I like to read books and stuff like this, so I did find this interesting. It says gouache was typically made by mixing watercolor based on gum arabic with an opaque white pigment. So in the 19th century, watercolors began to be industrially produced in tubes, and a Chinese white tube was added to the box for this purpose. So I hear people who work with watercolors all the time, they're like, why does it come with this Chinese white? And they kind of throw the Chinese white away, and it doesn't, they're like, we don't use white, we don't use white. White is the color of the paper, and that's our white. And this kind of answers that question, is that they started adding the Chinese white so that you could make it into gouache, a gouache consistency if you wanted to. So I thought that was interesting, because that is something that, like, I've always wondered, like, why, if watercolors don't use white, why do they keep adding this white pigment to their to their boxes of paints? And that is actually why, so that they can make it into gouache if they would like. So let's take a look at this. Okay, had a drink early this morning. So here is the paint that I got. It's 60 gouache colors. I think it's kind of overkill. It's a lot of colors. They do make smaller boxes of these. So if, you know, you can look and see what you want. I'll link them in the description box down below. You might not want it at all. So on the box here, it shows us all the colors that are in the box. It also shows us the light fastness, 3 pluses being the highest light fast, 2 the lowest. So it's really good light fastness actually, because there's only a couple that were only 2. So most of it's really light fast, if that's important to you. The transparency, so transparency is talking about how opaque or transparent it is. And so some of these are transparent, some of them are opaque, and some of them are kind of somewhere in between, and they indicate which ones are which on here. And then it gives you the pigment number on each one, which is on the tubes, and that kind of tells you what colors they're using to make that color in the tube, or what minerals and stuff they're using. So if that's important to you. To me it's really not, but it can be interesting. All right, so our little tubes here, they're small, but they go a long way. So this is kind of this typical size, kind of a watercolor tube comes in, which I was a little surprised. I thought it would be more, I thought they'd be bigger. So I was a little surprised when I opened them. I was like, oh my gosh, they're just like samples. But no, they go a really long way. So don't be surprised when you open that up. Okay, so I swatched all of our colors here, and there are 12 pearlescent pigments that have mica in them. So I did those all together first here. And when I was doing them, I was trying to put down like a layer with barely any water, and then I was putting more water in the pigment, and I didn't see a huge difference adding more water. So to lighten it up, in like, because you would, you know, with watercolors you add more water to lighten the pigment, and this really didn't work that way that much. And even sometimes the ones that I added more water to actually almost seem darker when they dried, which I thought was interesting. So almost adding the water is just like how to making it a consistency that's easy to spread. So I found that interesting. Titanium white and white, they do give you in the box, which I'll show you in a minute why I think that's wonderful. And then we get our colors, and there are beautiful colors in this box. I do wish that there were, I don't know, a couple more browns, but you could mix browns really. So maybe it's not that important. But if you're just wanting to use straight out of the tube, there's not a whole lot of, I don't know, browns. But there are some good skin tones, like there's tan, latte brown, peach, ballerina pink. Would be good for even like the pale yellow and Naples yellow you could use in skin tones. But they're really nice. Okay. You can see some of them are more transparent than others. Like this one looks a little more transparent, whereas like that stone blue is very opaque. Like it's a very flat color. So I think that's great for gouache. Like I said, I've never used gouache before, but from what I'm reading, that looks good. Look at that black. It's just black. I love that. It might be great for backgrounds on our, I don't know, we haven't tried it in coloring books yet, but beautiful color. Okay, I have some pencils here. I have a Prismacolor, which do tend to be more opaque, but I wanted to see how, if it would like, if you, oh yeah, look at that. You can totally draw on this. Look at that. Beautiful. Like no trouble whatsoever. It's very matte based. My hand is still sore, so I can't hold the pencil very well, but and then let's see, this is a Polychromos pencil, which is a more transparent pencil. I wanted to see, oh, but like, oh yeah, so you can still like, they're very matte, beautiful. I really like them. Okay, so we can definitely draw on top of them, which I really like. Oh, let's see the pearlescent ones. Are they matte too, or do they get more of a glossy? Oh no, you can still draw on top of them too. Okay, cool. Okay, I like that. All right, then on this paper, I took, so this one I added white to it, and it did lighten the color quite a bit. I think, yeah, that's this violet color. Adding white to it really was able to lighten the color. And so that's why I think the whites are really nice that they're there, because you can mix the white into another color and make it lighter, but still have that opacity, which is really nice. So this one I added the white as well. And then this one I mixed like ultramarine and the rose together and got this color, which is very pretty. And then an olive. I mixed two of the colors to get this too. Probably the mid yellow and maybe the cerulean, I don't remember, but I mixed two colors to get the green as well. Awesome. All right, so then I let them dry, and then after they were dry, I reactivated it with water and was able to pull this color down. This was after the paint was dry. I was able to pull this color down with water. So that's really kind of fun, and something you can't do with acrylics is you can't reactivate it with water. But that also means you've got to remember that if you're using it in like a multimedia fashion, a mixed media fashion, that it's going to reactivate with water. You have to remember that. Then this one I let dry and then added water and lifted the pigment up, and it lifted very well. Same here, I just pulled that color down. And then this one I wetted an area and then just dropped, like, just touched my brush to it, and it, you know, it spread really well. So that was really cool. Okay, so that is that. Well, let's turn it over. So here's my palette from yesterday, all those colors. This is completely dry, not getting any color on my hand. So if this is acrylic paint, this would just be throwaway. Like, there's nothing you can do to reactivate it at all. It would just be dead. But I'm gonna add, this is last night I did all this, so this has been dry for at least 12 hours. Okay, so I have a little water here, and let's, oh, this red looks pretty. Let's grab some red. A little water. Look at that. So cool. So you can like put these pigments out, let them dry, and then just use them dry, or like reactivate them like with water, like you would a watercolor pan, and it's great. You can pull that pigment for a long time. I really like it. Okay. Or you can use them wet as well. We'll do that in just a second. I'm going to do another one of these. This one's like almost gone. There's just like a little dot there on the page, but I'm just going to re-wet that. And you still get a ton of color. So these they go a long way. Okay. And then you can also use them wet, like I did last night. So I'm gonna get my other plate here. Just grab one out of the box. So, just gonna put a little dot of pigment on there. And this pigment is wet, but I still wanna add water. I'm gonna wet my brush, go in there like I would an acrylic paint. And then paint with that. So nice. So pretty. So it really doesn't matter whether the pigment's wet or dry, just how you prefer to use it or how you're using it. Let's see. That looks like probably this color. I could be wrong, but let's see the dry spot on the plate. Yeah. But I like that you don't waste any. Like, how nice is that? Like, with acrylic paint, it can be very difficult because I'll put it on the plate, I'll be painting, I'll walk away, I'll come back, oh, because a kid wanted something, I'll come back, my paint's dry, and I just have to throw it away. Whereas this, it doesn't matter. I can keep using it. So that's really fun. I really like that. Okay. So, let's, and I love how, look how, like, opaque and matte. It just, I love it. It's so pretty. So pretty. Okay, let's see. Let's see. I've got a couple of books here. Here's this one that we worked in with some watercolors. So here are the ones we did in watercolor. And let's try painting with some of this gouache and see what it looks like. Like, we may not like it in the coloring book because it's so opaque. It might not be a good match. Or we might think it's the next best thing to sliced bread, you know? which is interesting coming from someone who's gluten intolerant and doesn't eat bread, but it's all good. I don't know what to color. Do you guys have this problem? You have to like flip through the whole book to decide. It's just silly. Like this one's already out of the book. We should just do that one. Okay, we'll just do that one. Okay, so a skin tone. Let's see. What do we want to do? Maybe the pale. I'm going to kind of pull a palette and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, I picked some colors here. Let's see. So I was thinking like this ballerina pink for her skin. So let's add some of that to our palette. And then blush pink might be nice for like her lips or her cheeks or something, or to mix in with her skin tone. So I'm going to put a little of that out. It's like a true pink. And then cerulean blue for her eyes. There's some details, might be pretty. And then hair color. Here's some burnt umber. And then she has some flowers, so I was thinking maybe some crimson red. And then we might want to tone that down. Can't even see, guys. Tone that down with some white. So I'm going to put some white out too. Okay. All right, let's try this, see what happens. I haven't painted with this yet, so we shall see. I'm going to grab a little smaller brush. This is a Grumbacher number 4 watercolor brush. Bought it at Michael's. I don't know. Okay. All right. Let's put that there. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's start with this. Let's try putting a little bit of water in it just to make it really creamy. Okay. Okay, so that is opaque. So I don't know if we're gonna like it in her books or not. This is Kabakowski. Which reason we like watercolors in her books is because she puts so much detail and we can still see the detail through the watercolor. And this is more opaque, so we're not going to see that detail as much. But let's just see how it goes and how it dries. We don't know. This is all an experiment. My hand is still sore. I'm trying to take it easy, not doing a lot in a day with it, but I really wanted to do this today. So I took my brace off and I'm trying. But no promises for perfection. Okay, we'll let that dry. While we do, let's do some of her hair. Let's see here. I'm gonna use that burnt umber. really opaque up there. Let's try grabbing some of it and I'm just gonna, it's really hard not having full range of my muscles in my hand, but that's okay. Okay, let that dry for a minute. How is the face? Pretty good. Now remember that it is water soluble, so if we add more water, it's going to lift. So let's try that a little bit on her face. Let's try adding some water where we would want highlights. Let's see if we can. Okay, so that worked really well. Let's try like under her eye here. Cheekbones. I'm kind of getting there. Okay, let's get some more water, less paint. Okay, so I like that you can lift. That's really nice. Let's try adding a little bit more of the same color in some areas and see if it darkens. I don't know if it will or not. And remember, as we get close to the hair, that we might pull, gotta be careful not to pull that hair color down because it will reactivate. So we'll see if it builds in color. We'll put some color around. It might just build in opacity rather than color. I'm not seeing much color, but we'll see when it dries. Let's put a little more down on her neck as well. Okay, we'll let that dry. Okay, let's grab some of the blue. Add a little more water to that. Okay. Let's try. On her third eye here. There we go. Ooh, that's a really pretty color. And I didn't pull a green for those leaves, so I'm kind of thinking of putting this blue on there. But I kind of want to thin it out a little bit, so I'm going to add quite a bit of water. Let's see here. What happened to my other brush? There it is. I'm going to take some water in my other brush and kind of drip it in there. Okay. Let's see if that makes any difference. Don't know that it will. Okay. Ooh, it's still very Okay, that's not bad. All right, let's take this over here to these leaves. Okay, I like that. That was nice adding that water. Kind of made it more transparent. Let's add some of... Okay, so now this pink is kind of dry, but we can just reactivate it, which is nice. Okay, get just... I kind of want to, well, I'll do this first. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'm probably gonna add a little more pink. All right, let's look at the flowers. So I want to try mixing some crimson and white together for flowers. So let's see if I take like that much crimson over to this pile of white. Okay. Okay. Trying to kind of get most of it off of my brush so that I can add some more water. Okay. All right, we'll kind of use those, let's see. Then I'm going to pick up some more of that crimson. Okay, we'll kind of let that sit and dry for a minute. Let's see, on this one, let's take the pink we made. I'm gonna put it down in the shadowy parts. I don't know, I'm just playing and experimenting, so we'll kind of let that dry for a minute. do one with the crimson. Let's see. Do the same thing down in the shadowy bits here and there. And we'll kind of let that dry. Okay. And then on her little lippies, I want to take some of that ballerina pink in with that blush pink and really, I don't know, get kind of a mid-tone between the two. Kind of get some dimension. Okay. There we go. All right. Right, I'm just taking water, no color on it, and not a lot of water, and kind of mixing those two areas together. Blending. I think that looks really nice. It's kind of cool. That's pretty. I like that. Okay, then let's go to the next one. We're just going to use water again. This time I'm going to try to like reactivate and push out that pink so we get lighter variations of it. Okay, and then same with this red one. My hand is starting to cramp. Let's try my other hand. Okay. All that color around. Okay, not as nice, but I was using my left hand, so I get a pass. All right. I kind of like it. Okay, so there's some things that I like and some things that I don't. Let me grab some just for fun kind of stuff here. Let's see. Lots of water, mixing some pinks, some reds together here. Lots of water. All right. Okay. Alright, let's talk about her. We're like as in focus as we can be. It's kind of annoying me. Yeah, I guess we are. Okay. So I love this flower. I think it blended so beautifully together using just the water. I thought that was awesome. Layering the paints up really didn't add any darkness, just more opacity. These are opaque, and so like in her hair we lose definition that the artist gave us because of how opaque it is. So maybe in a coloring book we wouldn't want that, but in like my art journal I think that would be beautiful. So just different things. So here's just like the watercolor in her book to just kind of compare. It's just opacity is really what the difference is. And in the coloring book itself, I think I prefer the watercolor because I can see all of her sketchy stuff. But like I said, in a art journal, I think I would rather use the gouache because of how matte it is and that I can put pencil over the top of it. And yeah, all of those things. I'm not going to do this right now, but I think this would be a really fun coloring book to use the gouache in because it's on watercolor paper, but it doesn't have as many like sketchy line details that I would want to keep. So this might be really fun. And then you could put pencil over the top to bring it details. So that could be a really fun book to use this in. Anyways, I think this has gone on long enough. Another thing I'm interested in is backgrounds, but again, I'm not going to do that right now because my hand hurts. So I have to stop, which is really sad. I don't want to, but it will heal, and then I'll be back. Put my brace back on. Yeah, anyways, if you're interested in gouache, I think these Arteza gouache are good, but I haven't really used any other gouache, so I don't really know. But yeah, I think they're good and you can get a lot of colors. And I think the idea of gouache is just kind of fun and interesting to me. So anyways, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up anyways. If you think I just talked way too much, whatever, I'm sorry. We'll get back to coloring and coloring books real soon, I promise. And I hope you guys have an awesome weekend, that you find time to relax and enjoy yourselves, splash around a little color, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!